Hello and welcome back to Goswick Lane. Today we are having a faith moment. We're talking about service. What does the Bible say about service and what we should do to others? Brandon, what's your thoughts on that?
So from my background of growing up Southern Baptist, tithing was something that was, I remember even growing up, like it being a priority to give in church.
Let's dive in a little bit to Southern Baptist and how we grew up. It felt like a rule, which it is a command.
Yeah, I mean, it talks about giving of what God gives to us. So I do believe that we are to tithe 10% of anything we get. We don't have a long enough podcast time slot set up to go into the detail of that, but I will just tell you, I'll share my journey because I think that's the best way for us as believers to be very genuine. I believe that I'm called to give, and I believe that my relationship with the Lord, which is a relationship, is going to constantly allow me to get clarity on what that is, but I do lean into the 10% that I found in the Bible many times. As we've grown as entrepreneurs and as money has changed, I believe that it's all His anyway. Why not give Him more if we can?
That's a good point. It's like everything that we have is His anyway. So how are we using everything that we have? It's not just the 10% that we're writing a check to the church. It is so much more than just that. God gives each one of us and you specific talents and things that we are all good at. There's things that you're good at that me and Brandon aren't good at. Lots of them probably. And those talents and gifts that the Lord gives us should be used as an extension of Him.
If we are created in His image, which I think anybody who is a Christian believes that, it's hard to wrap your brain around. But if we're created in His image, and then He's uniquely and wonderfully made each of us, and we have our own traits and gifts and talents, and all He wants is for us to glorify Him, doesn't it make sense that we figure out what those talents are that He's given us and those strengths, and we use them to grow the kingdom?
I heard something a while back that really resonated with me. The way that we grew up was we were taught to be very humble.
Yes, or else.
Yeah, it's like be humble or you will be humbled. That is how it was.
Yes, it was.
And that's how it is in our households too. So being humble, there's two different ways to think about it. Or the right way and the wrong way is thinking of yourself less, not thinking less of yourself. Why I say that is because you have to understand what God's blessed you with. And if you haven't done like a spiritual gifts survey or some kind of Colby test or what's the Enneagram?
Enneagram. I mean, there's all kinds of ones out there.
Yeah, take some tests and figure out what God has blessed you with. And then you can start working on how to use that gift for His kingdom. One of the things that we can do as entrepreneurs is use the gifts that He's blessed us with in an entrepreneur mind to help other young entrepreneurs, but not with the goal in mind of just helping them make more money. It really needs to be about a bigger purpose. Every day or every other day, you've got a Voxer group. A Voxer is an app, like a walkie-talkie for your phone. And some of those are about your industry specifically. Yeah. I think one of them was using today, using gifts that you have for the Lord, or for like, what is your purpose? What was that one about?
Yeah, so I just basically, and anytime I use any of these platforms, I'm really talking to myself. I'm having thoughts.
It's what the Lord's dealing with you
right.
on.
And like I feel like I'm closer to the purpose of what the Lord has called me to do than I've ever been before.
Yeah.
Did I see bits and pieces of it along my years as a principal and coach? Yeah, absolutely. But if you are waking up and going to bed every day and you have no real purpose, if you don't know your purpose, then that's a good place to start looking.
Yeah.
Because we were not made to get up, work, and go to sleep.
I find that when I do not fulfill my purpose during the day, and I have these days where I'm aimlessly just checking things off a list, at the end of the day, I do not feel good about my day.
How have you started to recognize what you think the gifts the Lord has given you are and how you're supposed to use them?
All right, today is a Friday, and Fridays are some of my favorite days, and there's a specific reason, specifically because I get to serve first thing in the morning. We do a High Five Friday, kids getting dropped off at our local elementary school. 10 to 15 dads come out, high five the kids, get them out of the car on the drop-off lines, And then, you just smiling faces, kids are happy, you're serving, you're an adult male figure that they see every week. And a lot of these kids don't have. After the high five, we dance in the halls with the kids.
Okay.
Or high five in the halls, yeah. And then I get to go see some pre-K kids in the cafeteria eating breakfast every Friday. And those are my people, man.
Oh, I bet.
Those are my people.
That's cool.
One of the kids came up to me and this is where like serving, and it really kind of hit home today for me. One of the kids came up to me as I was leaving, and he just looked up at me and he said, "Hey, mister, my dad's in jail. My dad's in jail." Like, that's exactly how he said it. And I thought, okay, yeah, this is important. His dad may not be at home, and this 10 minutes is important to him. So I think if you're having trouble finding that purpose, just start serving.
I think some of the ways that we've really benefited in our last 5-6 years of doing business together, and the journey of being, me becoming an entrepreneur and us partnering up on a lot of stuff together, is that when you start having new circles that you spend time in, I want to be very careful that I'm not talking down to someone who doesn't do this, because it's not what I mean. You start seeing there are other ways to serve other than through a W-2 job. Now, there's nothing wrong with I keep saying this, I love being a middle school principal.
Because of flexibility, you can be more creative in your service. You have control over who you spend most of your time with.
100%.
More control.
And I think there's a flip side to that we'll get into in many other podcasts of, like, now that you have that freedom of control, how are you telling it what to do for you in your life?
Like, I'm still kind of in that. I've been an entrepreneur for
Your
forever.
whole life, pretty much.
Even that is I still create jobs for myself all the time.
Yeah.
And to-do lists and check-offs, and then get the blinders on of, I've got to get this done, I got to get this done, got to get this done, and miss out on my bigger purpose.
If you're familiar with this Ecclesiastes, Solomon, the wisest man in the Bible, the wealthiest, had it all. He basically said, I've seen it, I've had it all, I've done it all, anything I could ever want worldly. And it simply comes down to, these are the two most important things. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul, and love others. When we serve, we are giving ourselves the opportunity to experience where God is already working. And then God, because we're serving with an open heart and an open hand, oftentimes permeates back through us when we're serving someone else, and
That's
he
crazy.
blesses us.
Yeah, and what you said there resonates, is like, it ain't nothing that we create.
100%.
And in order, like, you go back to Solomon and you say, Solomon said, love God, love others. It is simple, but it's not easy. In order to love God, you got to know God. The love that we know of God is only how much we know him.
Yeah, I heard something said this morning. He thought that the reason sometimes God may not answer the question you have so quickly is because he yearns and wants nothing but a relationship with you. And if you're not getting the answer you want, that requires what?
Time, relationship.
And more communication.
Yeah, communication.
Sometimes I'm not answering their question the way they want, and it's purposeful. Sometimes it's for a deepening relationship. Sometimes it's just to aggravate them. I mean, sometimes it's just to draw them into something that I'm hoping they see that I already see.
Go back to when, if you're married, go back to when you first started dating your husband or your wife, and how intense your feelings were to get to know them more. I think that's what God wants from us, is that intense, like, I don't know enough, I want to know everything about you. It's like this involuntary thing when you meet somebody that you're head over heels for.
When we try to understand that we serve a God outside of our understanding, how could we ever fully know him?
Hey, thanks for joining us today. If you're questioning your purpose and you know God, know that you know God, find somewhere to serve. Service is one of the spiritual gifts, but it is not one of the gifts that, if you don't have it, you have the option to opt out.
Yeah. I could tithe a 20% and have a heart that is not joyful to tithe. And I could tithe everything I have, which is hardly nothing, and have a heart that's so pleasing to the Lord that he says, well done, my good and faithful servant. We know
where our heart's at.
And that's the beauty of the relationship, is he knows and we know.
That's awesome. And in order to grow, you got to be real about where you're at. Don't be trying to fool yourself. Especially don't be trying to fool yourself. There's no point in that mess. Appreciate y'all joining us today. If you're getting value from this content, hit that like, share, subscribe button on the bottom if you want to help us reach more people and the things that we do with all the 32 different topics that we talk about every week. We're just going to talk about all of them instead of trying to, I guess, put ourselves in a box.
Yeah, there you go.
Whether the YouTube algorithm likes it or not.
There you go.
Thanks for being here today. Remember, love God, love others, and let your work reflect that. We'll catch you on the next one.